Welcome to this week's Moonlight of Emuna, Parshas Ki Savo. This week's learning should be a chus for Shlema for Shlema Zchon Bashifra Nosafait Ben Yehudis, Yehuda Ben Nachman Ben Rechon Paramal Kalei, Shmuel Shem Ben Zalman Ben Yocheb Chavim Nachman Mordechai Ben Afira, and Lili Nishmas Charnamash Bas Menachem Mendel Ratz Bas Menachem Mendel and Henny Bas Echiel Mechel. So Parshas Ki Savo, as I keep saying, every parsha in Sefer Devarim is there's a lot to talk about. But I heard several years ago I heard a shir from Rabbi Sachar Frand, and I was able to find online, and not exactly the way I remember it, but I think enough to remind me. So we have what's called vidui maisris. We have in the parsha, towards the beginning of the parsha, we have what's called vidui maisris, where a person comes in and he makes a confession after he brings his bikurim. So every third year he has to do a certain vidui. So it begins right by Sheni, right by the Aliyah of Levi in Parsh Ki Savo, which is the beginning parak of Vav Pasuk Yud Beis. It says Ki Sechal Laser is called Meiser Tvuascha. When you finish giving Meiser Bashana Shlish, is in the third year, and the significance of the third year is, for those, it's not Shonageh, what we're talking about, but the first 2 years you give Meiser to the Levi, and in year 3 you give Meiser to the Ani, right? Shnas HaMeiser, it's the year of the Meiser, V'nasat LaLevi L'ger L'yosel Manav Achlu B'Sharecha V'Saveu, right? You give the different Meisers, you give to the Levi, you give it to the ger, to the orphan, to the almana, and you eat it, and they eat it in their and they'll eat it in the cities. And then you say a vidu. You say to Hashem, I took all the holy things out of my house. I gave it to all the people supposed to get it. I did everything that you commanded me. I did not transgress your mitzvahs. I did not forget. I didn't eat in mourning. Not when I was tamei. I didn't give it to the dead. Okay, we're not going to get into all the halacha. I listened to the voice of Hashem, my God. I did everything that you commanded me to. Hashkifam. Then this is the pasuk that I want to focus on a little bit. Hashkifam iman kachach. We say to Hashem, gaze down from your holy abode, min hashamayim, uvarich es amcha, from heaven, uvarich es amcha es Yisrael. You bless your nation, the Jewish people, v'sadoma shnasat lanu, and the land that you gave us, as you promised to our forefathers, Eretz Zavas Chol Dvash, a land flowing with milk and honey. Now Rashi says on this pasuk, where we say gaze down from heaven and do what you promised, Rashi says a very strange thing. Asinu masha gazartu aleinu, we did what you commanded, what you decreed upon us. Asay ata masha alecha lasos, now do what you're obligated to do. We're saying this to Hashem. Right, sounds kind of chutzpahdik. You do shamarta, because you said if you follow in my statutes, I will give you rain in its time. It sounds pretty crazy that we're saying this to Hashem, right? Who are we to say this to Hashem? We did our part. You do your part. We don't see this by other mitzvahs. We never say to Hashem, I took lulav and esrog, I blew shofar, I was coming up to Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, Sukkot. There's a lot of mitzvahs we're going to do in those few weeks between Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. We never turn to Hashem and say, we blew the shofar, now give us a good year. Or we don't say every morning, I put on tefillin, now you owe me, right? How do we say that to Hashem? Does Hashem owe us anything? And have we really fulfilled everything we're supposed to do? Now, what's interesting about this pasuk, right, which most of us maybe are not familiar with, but any of the Kohanim who are listening might recognize this. After Kohanim duchen, right, in Eretz Yisrael, well, I don't know if they say the tefillah in Eretz Yisrael every day when they duchen, but certainly Kohanim on Yontif, after they duchen, they say a small tefillah, a short tefillah. It says, Rebbeinu Shloim, Master World, Asinu Masha Gazarta Aleinu. We did, the Kohanim are saying to Hashem, we just benched the Jewish people. You commanded us in Parshas Nasai to bless the Jewish people. We did that. So therefore, you too now you have to do what you promised. And then in this tefillah, they quote this pasuk: "Hashkifa miman kadshecha, look down from your holy abode, min hashmayim v'varech esamcha es Yisrael." So the crux of this tefillah, that the Kohanim, after the Kohanim bench the Jewish people, they basically quote this pasuk and say the same thing that the person who came to the Beis Hamikdash and made this declaration that he took all of his maasros, making the same declaration. So again, it's very strange. What do you mean the Kahanim? The Kahanim did the mitzvah that they were told to do, benching the Jewish people. Okay, whatever Hashem promised to do, He'll do. Right? Same thing with us. Like in every mitzvah, we know that Hashem promises reward if we do mitzvahs. Why is it specifically by Bikurim and somehow connected to Berachas Kahanim? Right? Not the Bikurim. Sorry, this Vidui Meiser, which we also do with the Kahanim. Right? We're standing in the Beis Hamikdash and we're doing this with the Kahanim. What's this connection, and why do we have this chutzpah in only these cases? So the Chassam Sofer asks this question, and he highlights this question based on a Gemara in Sanhedrin. For those who doing Daf Yomi, it wasn't so long ago. In Sanhedrin, the Gemara tells us in Daf Tzadi Gimel Lamed Beis a very strange thing. The Gemara goes on there, says why was Sefer Daniel named after Daniel? And it says because Hashem promised him that his name would be remembered. And then the Gemara asks, "Michti kol mili de Ezra Nehemiah ben Chachlei amru," that most of the Sefer of Ezra. Okay, there's a little bit of a machlokes in the Gemara exactly, but Nehemiah wrote. Now, even though we have a Sefer Nehemiah, it's really part of Sefer Ezra. Even though we have Ezra and Nehemiah, but it was really subsumed in Nehemiah. So the Gemara asks, why didn't he get his own sefer if he was the author of most of it, right? So the Gemara says, Nehemiah ben Chachalya, my time Sifra al Shmei. Why didn't he get a book named after him? Because he took personal credit for his achievements. Shenemra, it says in the pasuk, Zochru li Elokai l'tova, remember me Hashem for the good. And that's a pasuk in the 5th parak of Nehemiah. Nehemiah was put in by the king as the new governor of Yerushalayim, and there was a lot of trouble going on. And Nehemiah fixed a lot of that up. And he quotes, he relates how he fixed that up. And at the end, he says to Hashem, "Please remember me for good." So the Gemara says because of that, because he asked for good, he lost the rights to have the sefer named after him. The Gemara asks, you see similar lashonos by Dov Elias, and it says that by Dov Elias it was talking. Dov Elias was asking for rachamim, but we see that Nehemiah was punished, right? Without getting into all the details there, but Nehemiah was punished for asking the same thing, almost a very similar lashon, right? Nehemiah is asking, "Zachor li Elokai l'tova, remember me Hashem for good, kol asher asisi alam hazeh, everything I did for this people." Sounds a lot like we're saying to Hashem also. We're saying Asisi kol asher, I did everything you did, hashkifim man kachecha, and yet here it seems like a good thing. So what's going on? That's the Chassam Sofer's question. Not only that, adds the Chassam Sofer that it seems like Nehemiah was really just saying, "Remember me for good." He wasn't asking for specific rewards, but we're here asking Hashem. We're telling Hashem, the way if we look at Rashi's words, you now owe us rain. What's going on? So the Chassam Sofer has an idea about this, about the way that we earn credit. Maybe that's part of the vidui, but I don't want to. I want to. There's a vart from the Tolna Rebbe. I think I once saw it from the Tolna Rebbe, but I couldn't find it now, and I'm just looking on based on the way Rabbi Sacha Frand quotes it. So the Talmud Rebbe says like this: if you look back at the previous pasuk, right before we say to Hashem, "Hashkifa me'mayin kachecha," the last words in pasuk Yudalad are "Asisi kachal asher tzivisani." I did everything that you told me to. What does Rashi say on there? Simachti v'simachti bay. Right? I took joy and I brought joy to others. Meaning, what mitzvah are we talking about here? Giving meiser. I gave meiser to the Leviim, I gave meiser to the Almanas, to the Yisayimim that we quoted earlier. So what am I saying? I'm saying that when I do this vidu meiser, I'm saying I did what you decreed. By what? By I took joy in it, and I used it to bring joy to others. What's the significance of the joy? So you remember, if those who listened last week, I spoke a little bit about simcha in Yiddishkeit. Simcha means one element of simcha is bringing joy to others. Real simcha, we talked about simcha being the clarity of doubts and also bringing joy to others. And he quotes the Rambam in Hilchos Yontif. The Rambam says in Parak Vav Halacha Yud Ches that in order to really have simcha, when you eat, let's say on Yom Tif, we have a mitzvah to eat on Yom Tif, right? It's only good if he gives to the ger, to the yasam, to the ani, to the poor people. If he just closes his doors and eats by himself, that's not called simcha. That's not called rejoicing. And last week, you might remember, we quoted a pasuk in Parshas Rei. At the end of Parshas Rei, Parak Zayin pasuk Yud Aleph. It says v'samach l'fnei Hashem lekecha. You should. This is talking about a yontif. You should have simcha in front of Hashem your God. Atu vincho v'techa v'avdecha v'amoscha v'alevi asher b'sharecha. Right? V'ager v'yosem amon asher b'kebecha. You have to bring simcha to your children, to your servants, to the Levi, and also to the ger, the yosem, the almona asher b'kebecha. The place that Hashem says. And Rashi over there says, we didn't quote this Rashi last week, but Rashi says, this is a very interesting Rashi. Arba shali keneged arba shalcha. Hashem says your four are keneged, correspond to my four, right? Because who are your four? Your bincha beitecha abdecha mascha, your son, your daughter, your slave, your maidservant. And says Rashi, imata mesamech shali. So if you make mine happy. I'm sorry. Yeah, Rashi says. I'm sorry. I misquoted the Rashi. It says. No, I'm sorry, I quoted it correctly, but Rashi leaves out who are the four that are Hashem's: the Levi, the Ger, the Yasam, and the Almana. Right? Those are the four that are Hashem's. Right? You take care of my Levi, my Ger, my Yasam, my orphan, and my widow. Arba shali keneged arba shelcha. That corresponding to the four of yours. Bincho v'techa avdecha mascha. Imata mesamech shli. This is where Rashi ends off. If you will make mine happy, ani mesamech el shaloch, I will make yours happy. Meaning Hashem made a promise. You take care of my people, my Levi, my Ger, my Yasa, my Almana, I'll take care of yours. Bincha bitecha avdecha mascha. So when we come into the Beis Hamikdash and we say this vidui maisrus, this confession, right? What we're saying to Hashem is, you promised us a few weeks ago in the parsha that we take care of yours, you'll take care of ours. We're just reminding you of that, right? Not that chas v'sholem we're demanding anything, Hashem, but Hashem, you set it out as a corresponding thing. If we take care of yours, you'll take care of us. What I'm doing is I'm declaring that I took care of the first part of that equation. You said, right, if A, then B. So I'm just letting you know I did A, and I'm just saying the reason I'm telling you that is because you told me B. Not that I'm demanding something from Hashem. We said, why is every other mitzvah different? You know, because when I put on tefillin, Hashem didn't say to me, if you put on tefillin tomorrow morning, I will give you this. Or if you take lulav and esrog, I will give you this. If you blow shofar, I will give you this. Right? Hashem says, yeah, we know this chayv onish, and we don't talk about that to Hashem. We don't say it. But here, Hashem specifically set it up. If A, then B. So we're just saying we did A. We took care of A. I'm just saying that part A of the equation was done. If I made other people happy, I made the downtrodden happy. So therefore, you Hashem, now I triggered this. You're the one who set up the deal. You set up the deal in Parshas Re'eh. I'm coming a few weeks later in Parshas Kisaveh telling you I took care of the portion that was in my hands. So now the ball's in your court, so to speak. But not that I'm demanding a reward. Not that I'm saying now you owe me. I'm just saying you Hashem told us, like, come back to me and let me know when you took care of A, and that I'll take care of B. And that's what we're doing. We're letting you know that we took care of A. So what does that have to do with Birchas Kahanim? So when we come to halachas of Birchas Kahanim, the Beis Yosef brings a halacha from in the name of the Mordechai and the Shibbolei Aleket. We don't paskin this way, but he says over there that that a kohen who's single, who's not married, so he can't do nesiyas kapayim. He can't do chen. Why? Because he quotes the Gemara in Yevamos, ki ashori b'lo isha, somebody who lives without a wife, shori b'lo simcha, lives without simcha. And the person, the kohen who's giving the bracha, has to be besimcha, and he brings some rayas for that a person has to be besimcha. The kohen who gives the brachas to the Jewish people has to be besimcha. This is a halacha. We don't, even though we don't say that a single kohen can't duchen, but we do know kahanim. You could ask kahanim with duchen that you have to be besimcha. You have to be with joy. You have to bless the Jewish people with joy. And Rav Matas Yop Solomon pointed out that this tefillah of the kahanim after duchening that we mentioned, it starts off Ribbon Shalom Master World Asinu Masha Gazarta Aleinu. We did what you decreed upon us. Why do we use the lashon of decree? Why don't we say sort of like we said in our pasuk about the vidui maisrus, asinu masha tzivisa. Why is it gzeira usually is some kind of a harsh? It's a decree. Hashem says as if Hashem is saying to the Kahanim is saying you burdened us with this harsh decree to bless the Jewish people. What's so harsh about it? Doesn't seem to be such a big deal. They get up, they give a nice bracha. What's the big deal? So the explanation is very good to what we're talking about. Whatever you have, a kohen comes into shul in the morning and he's in a bad mood. He lost a big business deal. He got into a fight with his wife, right? he has to now somehow get himself to be in a place of joy. He has to put himself in the proper mindset, right, in order to get up there and say to the Jewish people, Yivarecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, Yar Hashem panav elech v'yichnecha, Yisa Hashem panav elech v'yasmech shalom. Those it just seems like just a few words, but you have to do it from a place of joy. It has to be able to bring to come from a place of joy. He has to wholeheartedly want to bless the Jewish people, and that has to come from simcha. Meaning, a kohen has to do exactly what Rashi said here. We said was the strange lashon. The kohen has to be able to say, "Simachti, I was happy about it. Samachti v'simachti, and I made others happy." The kohen has to do the same thing we do when we give money to the poor. We the same thing when we do simcha on Yontif. It has to be joy and bringing joy to others. And therefore, the Kohen ends off giving the Birchas Kehanim with the pasuk from our parsha, Hashkifa mimayin kadshecha. Why? Because it's going back to that pasuk in Re'eh, that Rashi in Re'eh. Hashem made a deal. You take care of mine, I take care of yours. So when a person gives Maisa, when a person gives tzedakah, he says to Hashem, you set that up as a tit for tat. We weren't the ones who set that up. You, Hashem, did that. The Kehanim get the same thing. I did it with joy. I blessed your people with joy. Now do what you said and bless them. And bless them the way you said you were going to, as it says in Birchas Kehanim, right? V'ani avarachem. Hashem says to the Kehanim, you bless them, but it has to be with simcha, then I will bless you. So what the lesson I think from this is that we have this ability to invoke a guarantee. Hashem created a guarantee. If we bring joy to other Jews, it could be by giving tzedakah, it could be by blessing them like the Kohanim, it could be just by giving a Jew an encouraging word. Hashem, we automatically invoke. This is not reward and punishment. This is Hashem created a system where if we bring joy to other people, to other Jews, we get joy automatically from Hashem. Hashem promises you take care of, Hashem says you take care of mine, I'll take care of yours. We should think about this when it comes to giving to somebody, to helping somebody out, to going out of our way. Not always so easy to do a chesed, to give a kind word. We're coming to Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. We need all the schusim we can get. Other mitzvahs, of course, every mitzvah is important, and Hashem rewards every single Jew for every mitzvah. But here we have a specific thing where Hashem set up a system that if you make other Jews happy, it's automatic. We're coming to Hashem with chutzpah saying, I did your mitzvahs, give me back. We don't say that by shofar, by lulav, by tefillin. But when it comes to tzedakah, when it comes to bringing joy to other Jews, it's built into the system. And therefore, we could spend this time coming into Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, bringing joy to other people, doing for other people, doing chesed, doing kindness, doing something to make another Jew happy. And we could say to Hashem in the words of Rashi, we could say, Samachti v'simachti bai. I was happy about doing the mitzvah, and I brought joy to other people by doing that mitzvah. And then we're not telling Hashem, now you owe us reward. We're just telling Hashem, we triggered the system that you set up. We took care of yours. Now you promised you're going to take care of ours. We want to bring all this chusim we can. This is a tremendous way to do it as we come to Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur in this month of El. I wish you all a beautiful, wonderful Shabbos filled with simcha and bringing simcha to other people.